Welcome back to Daytime, everyone. With today's tight job market, more people than ever are going back to school or staying in school to get an advanced degree. But that means more student loans are piling up to the tune of $830 billion. So what can you do if you've got student loan debt, but you're not making enough? Joining us today is consumer lawyer Eric Seidel with some answers. Good to see you again, Eric.
Good morning, Cindy, and yes, great to see you too. You know, that figure you just mentioned, that is actually larger than the credit card debt here in the U.S., $830 billion, unbelievable. And, you know, let's take it down to a personal level, if you will. Since I started in private practice, I've been hearing from people that have personal injury cases all the way to like defective hip implants. But one of the most common calls I've been getting is from people out in the workforce. They have this huge pile of student loan debt and they don't know what to do about it.
What can they do about it then? Say if you've got a job, but you're just not making a whole lot of money.
Absolutely. I'm glad you've asked because there are some very traditional things you can do. I'll mention those and then I'll mention some new stuff.
Okay.
One of the first things you can do traditionally is to ask for a deferment. That means basically that your loan is put on hold for a certain amount of time, a year or more. Now that is if you don't have a job or if you're not making enough, like you said. Now if you don't qualify for that, you can get a forbearance. The forbearance is easier to get, but here's the thing. The interest still accrues, meaning it still piles up, so you're adding more onto the length of your loan. So that's a choice you really have to decide for yourself.
So the sooner, obviously, you can pay it off, the better off you'll be, and nobody's going to forget about it. You can't just sweep it under the rug and hope that it goes away.
Well, you know what? There's some, funny you should mention that, because no, basically you can't. But there are some new rules that are out that kind of are the next best thing. This is called, the Obama administration passed some of these, the Bush administration passed a little bit of this. It's called income-based repayment. And what this says is that if you make less than $16,000 a year, you basically don't have to pay those loans back.
Hear that, everyone?
Exactly.
I know there are people out there who are making less than 16 and are really worried about their student loans.
Unfortunately. So this is a great thing. Now, if you are making more than $16,000, what I suggest is under this plan, what you can do is you can have your payments capped at 10% of the monthly amount that you're making. So that is great too. Keep in mind that what this does is it draws out the loan. But if you keep paying, if you keep under that program for 25 years, then you do get total forgiveness of the loan. And in fact, if you work for a nonprofit or a governmental agency, you get forgiveness after 10. These are the new rules that came out, actually some very good ones.
How do you get these rules to apply to you? Does everybody know about them? Do you have to have the paperwork in front of you? Who do you call to make this happen?
Very good question, and what I want people to do is to contact their lender, contact the administrator of their loan. Two places. What you could do is apply for it, and number two, I want you to check out my website on ericcanhelp.com or ericseidellaw.com. I put up a link to the Department of Education, which will show you what you qualify for and how to get it.
Can having, or lapsing on your payment for student loan, what kind of effect can that have on your credit score?
It's not a good one. I mean, if you just default on the loan, that's the last thing you want to do, because as you said, it can affect your credit, it can affect your ability to get a job. The government can go after you, they can garnish your wages, and get this, if you file for bankruptcy, government student loans are not discharged in bankruptcy, and that's what we're talking about here.
So you still end up paying those eventually.
Exactly.
What about consolidating?
You know, that's an interesting point, because I hear from a lot of people saying, should I consolidate my loans? And what I do is I suggest a balancing test. You've got some great rates out there from private lenders, but at the same time, if you go with a private lender, you're giving up the protections we just mentioned under the government loans, the deferments and that sort of thing. So balance it out. If you can possibly do it, I would recommend a government consolidation, and then you'll keep those protections.
So bottom line advice for so millions that are out there.
Bottom line, I suggest what a lot of conservative financial advisors suggest. If you're going to college, put a little brain thought into it. Think about what type of profession you're going to be going into and figure out what the first year's salary is with that profession. Then don't take out more student loans than you will make in that 1 year. That way you're guaranteed to pay it off eventually.
Okay, Eric Seidel, thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
That's really, really good advice. More Daytime to come. Don't go anywhere.